Welcome to V is for Victory, a podcast about how small businesses overcome big battles. I'm your host, Jill Miller of Vera Creative, a boutique marketing firm in the Chicagoland area where I'm also a part-time professor of an advertising course. Join me as I talk with entrepreneurs about the challenges they face as well as their strategies for success. Hey everybody, I just wanted to take a quick second to draw your attention to a link in the episode notes for Earthley. Earthley is a company that I could not be happier with. They sell a wide variety of products. I use everything from their laundry detergent to their deodorant, bath soap for the kids, tinctures for when we're sick or we need to supplement like elderberry. And I couldn't be happier. I use facial serums for my eyes to get rid of, tired mom eyes. I absolutely love their body butters. And so if you're looking for a company that provides quality, very clean, very minimalistic ingredients, please be sure to check out the link in the episode notes for Earthley. All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of V is for Victory. Today, my guest is Daniel Raz, and he has had quite the journey in terms of starting his online fitness business. Wasn't an easy road, so we're here to get his story and his wisdom. Daniel, welcome to the show.
Thanks a lot. I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah. So take me back a little bit. What got you into fitness? Why an online fitness instead of in person? And just take me through the kind of the thought process as you realize that this is something that you wanted to try and make a living from.
Right. So I guess if we go all the way back, between the ages of 6 to 12, I think I was probably the most unhealthy kid there was. If it wasn't chicken nuggets or hot chocolate, I didn't consume it. I was an extremely picky eater. But around the age of 12, I started playing basketball and I wanted to perform better. So I thought, okay, I should start eating healthier, which is pretty much any diet except what I ate because I was so picky. I remember literally every time we went to any restaurant, my parents always had to take chicken nuggets from McDonald's because I just didn't consume anything else, right? So around the age of 12, I started just educating myself around healthy eating, nutrition, all that. Slowly learned more and more and more. And particularly by the time I was 17, I focused less on basketball and more on working out. And the reason why that was significant was because as a teenager, I felt confident only on the basketball court, nowhere else. I didn't really feel like my confidence translated into everyday life. But when I started working out more seriously, I noticed that even outside the gym, I was able to be a lot more confident. I was carrying my body with me, while with basketball, if I didn't have a ball in my hand, it wasn't translatable, right? And I went to University of Exercise and Nutrition in Western Canada. I'm from Israel, by the way, as you can probably hear from my accent, but I grew up in China, so wild experience.
What? Wait, where'd you say you're from originally?
I'm from Israel.
Oh,
but
Israel.
When I was six, my family and I moved to China.
Oh,
graduated
wow.
high school there. Then I'm like, okay, let's go to Canada now.
Oh, okay.
So yeah.
So how many languages do you speak then?
I mean, really only 2, English and Hebrew. My Chinese is very mild at best.
Okay. Wow. So, okay. I have picky eaters, so I totally get the whole thing. But at 12, that takes a lot of self-actualization. I feel like
it wasn't like immediate at all.
Yeah. But that's still a pretty young age to start diving into nutrition and fitness.
Yeah.
I want to pick your brain about 2 things. What do you think in terms of, I guess I'm always kind of appalled at what other parents feed their kids. Like, yes, I have picky eaters, but I still don't offer them junk food, really.
Right.
We are very minimal ingredients. Even if we have a processed food, like I give my kids these bars that have 5 ingredients total. Honestly, I should probably just spend the time making the bars because I can make them myself. But yeah. I'm always just kind of surprised when I hear other parents talking about what their kids eat for breakfast or I go to like grab a coffee and I see like young kids, probably high school, middle school, with big frappuccinos with tons of stuff on the whipped cream on the top. Like, it's a little bit crazy. I know you said you're in Canada. I'm here, obviously, in the States, but what are you seeing? Are you seeing that too? Like kind of just a shift um, in the way we eat. And what do you think that that's a cause of?
Right. So to answer your very first question, the fact that a lot of times it seems like parents neglect the kids in terms of what they eat, or they give them a bunch of junk food. Being into health and fitness, obviously, I'm like, how can parents do that? But really, like thinking about it, like, okay, if I was a parent and I was extremely stressed, I just want to make my kid happy. I had 50,000 things going on simultaneously. What's the easiest, quickest, first thing that's come up to mind? And unfortunately, fast food is incredible at marketing. They make it super convenient. And even though there are healthy foods that may taste just as good to the child, that may be just as inexpensive, maybe just as convenient, they're not as marketed as well. So it's not just easier. It's the first thing on your mind, right? And when you have 50,000 things going on as a parent, you just want to shut your kid up, right? Because they're complaining. And they saw that McDonald's has a Happy Meal and they want the toy, not even the food. So you're like, okay, whatever, I'll just get that, right? So I definitely don't think the parents are 100% to blame. It's more of just society as a whole, right? Now, obviously, having healthy parents that promote health is a huge advantage naturally, right? But I feel like even though you're 12, you're not like fully conscious as a person, you still can make decisions. So you should still, take your health to your own initiative, sort of. Obviously, by the time you're 18, your life is 100% your fault, right? And as a kid, you can't really blame if you see like somebody who's an obese 80-year-old. Obviously, that's not his, it's the parent,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But the earlier you can take control of your life, the better your life will be in general.
Yeah, so there's a theme early on in your life of personal responsibility. I think we
Yeah.
can say it's safe to say that. Awesome. And then talk to me a little bit about you said your confidence on the basketball court didn't translate off the basketball court. And I find that very, very interesting, because our life really is just who we are in one area is who we are in all areas,
Yeah.
right? Like there's really we're not that different, or it's hard to maintain that type of facade if we are trying to be different in one area than we are in another. So what is your advice to listeners, to maybe the younger generation, as to how you can increase your confidence in all areas of your life, how you can really integrate yourself and be consistent, whether you're working out or in your sport or at school, or, being the best friend you could be or the best brother
Right.
you could be? Like, what's your advice there? Because it sounds like it's a lesson that you learned, but you learned it later.
Yes, if I could talk to, I mean, the younger stuff, the younger the better. I would be like, focus on translatable skills, on skills that translate into everyday life. Let's even remove basketball. If I was extremely competent in piano, that's wonderful. But instead of taking all those hours focusing on playing piano, what if I focused on speaking better? Because everywhere I go, I speak, but not everywhere I go can I play piano. So with basketball, if there's a ball in my hand, yes, I can do a bunch of cool things, right? But everywhere I go, I take my body with me. So focus on things that are translatable, that you take with you everywhere you go. So as I said, speaking is a great skill to have because you speak everywhere you go, right? And that's definitely something I'm consciously trying to work on, right? I used to stutter a lot as a kid, and definitely something I'm trying to upgrade my vocabulary of my speaking, and also your body, right? Doesn't matter how skilled you are. If you don't have a ball, you can't like show it off. So yeah,
Yeah.
translatable skills in general, and there's so
Yeah.
many areas. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. Wait, so I can't tell, for listeners at home, we are recording on a Zoom, so I can see Daniel and he can see me. But as you know, the final product is just audio. Are you very tall?
I'm 6 foot. Is that tall
Oh,
enough?
okay. Okay. All right. So for basketball, that's not like super
Yeah.
duper tall. Okay. All right.
I didn't have out of all the sports, I should have probably picked like soccer or tennis. Like there's so many other sports that I would naturally have, like benefits in.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had to work really hard just to be above average, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Out of all the sports, I should not have picked that one.
That's funny. Well, some would say the sport picks you, right? Like
Yeah.
whatever you have talent. Okay, so at a young age, you realize, hey, I'm not the healthiest. It's maybe holding me back from reaching my full potential as a basketball player. But then you take it a step further and you say, hey, I have confidence here on the court, but not off the court. So I'm going to do something about that. And you kind of realize that, weight training, is that what you were doing at the time?
Yes.
Was the thing that led you to be confident in other areas of your life. So then you decide to go to college and you get your degree in nutrition. Now, this whole time, did you know you wanted to start a business and be a business owner? Or were you thinking, I'm going to go to college, I'm going to get this degree, and I'm going to get hired by somebody else?
I remember when I was 17, that's when I decided what I want to do with my life. And I'm like, okay, so I just started working out seriously. I feel like I want to be a physical therapist, right? Let's do that. So graduated high school, went to university for physiotherapy. That's what I call it. Other places call it physical therapy. I just noticed that when I talk to other people, physio is in Canada, American is physical therapy.
Yeah.
But anyway, so my classmates, 95% to 99% of people want to be physical therapists, right? Including me, obviously. After my second year of university, I'm like, I feel like I want to do something else, actually. I enjoy training people, especially because I get to be in a sense, I get to focus more on prevention rather than the cure. Because physical therapy is after they need help, like rehabilitation, all that. Personal training is more like preventing all the bad things from happening in the first place. So that just drew me more in, and I started working in different gyms. And I'm not sure if you've heard, but in 2020 there was sort of a lockdown going on.
Especially in Canada.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, well, I can't go to the gym myself. Let me get myself in shape. And that was after over a decade of, me knowing what to do, right? Yeah. So I was pretty experienced by that point. I was able to get myself in pretty decent shape at home. So I said, okay, let me try to help other people do the same. And I slowly but surely started to progress to make an online business.
Okay. Wow. So basically your business was built out of necessity.
Yeah.
Right? It was like, don't really have any other options. Government's not letting me see people face to face. So we're going to go in this direction here. So that's.
I think that's a lot of my decisions in my life. Sorry to cut you off, but yeah, just the way you said it, I just thought about it. Well, I feel like almost all my decisions are out of necessity, because I was playing basketball. I'm like, okay, I'm really good at basketball, but I'm still not a confident person. I need to change something. Something has to change. I'm like, okay, let me try to go this route. I'm like, oh wow, this is so much better.
So you're used to pivoting, right? Like you're used to having to identify the problem and then go and kind of create the solution, which I love. And that comes back to the whole personal responsibility piece, because I think there's a lot of people out there that are really good at identifying the problem, but then they blame something else, right? Like, oh, it's the food. Oh, it's the way I was brought up. Oh, I'm a picky eater. Oh, we're on lockdown. So, I can't, right? But I love the personal responsibility that's obviously just shining through your story right now, and really the resiliency that is also seems to be a theme in your life. So okay, so talk to me about them. What did you learn, I guess, very early on in business? What were some of your early lessons starting an online business?
Well, there's so many. There's so many. I don't even know where to begin, honestly. So, to be completely fair, I actually thought about starting an online business a year before the lockdown, right? But I tried a couple of things. Nothing worked. I tried basically everything I could think of, and nothing worked, right? So, when everything was locked down, I'm like, okay, now I really want to do this, because before I only kind of want to do this, it was a good idea, but good ideas don't get executed. If it's a must, it gets executed.
Yep.
Right. So I'm like, okay, I can't do anything else with my time. I want to do something. So I hired a mentor that specifically teaches how to help online fitness trainers create a business. right? And that helped me a lot, but it was extremely expensive, way out of my budget. But I still figured it out, which I'm glad that I could have taken the easy route and just told my parents to be like, "Hey, I made a huge investment. I spent way more money than I have. Please help me out." And my parents are mad that I didn't do that, but I'm really glad that I that I didn't, because I skipped the dishes, which is basically Uber Eats in Canada,
Mm-hmm.
and I worked a ridiculous amount of hours. And just doing that, uh, like I didn't learn anything from that skill because I just live with food, right? You don't learn any skills, but again, the mental resiliency of being like, okay, this will be the war. This will be a good story later on, and I kept saying that to myself, right? And that helped me through the business. That let's say I reach out to 100 people, and nobody answers. I'm like, okay, well, it's not as bad as driving in the middle of the night, dogs barking. You have to look at what apartment to find, right?
See, you did learn skill. You learned how to probably dodge drunk drivers, dodge
Oh yeah,
dogs. You learned to, like, seriously, driving in the dark is a use it or lose it skill. I feel like when it became winter of this year and I was starting to take my daughter to gymnastics, when we started, it was light out, and then now it's dark when we leave, and I'm like, I can't see. Like,
yeah.
I'm getting old over here, but no. So I feel like don't devalue your time as a delivery driver, because
No, I
there's
definitely
actually
like.
a lot of lessons in
Yes.
there.
I definitely believe there was a lot of life lessons, maybe not like hard skills,
Yeah,
just
yeah,
life lessons that allowed me to, again, because everyone wants to, make money online, but how many people are actually able to succeed in that, right?
right.
And the real key is it has to be more than money. It has to be an actual genuine something that you want to do. Because if it's just money, you'll fall off pretty quick because it's more difficult than a lot of people think it is, right? So it has to be a lot more than that for you to actually persist.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, who was your mentor? John, drop that name.
Uh, I can Brendan Carter, like I don't mind. I don't think he minds.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, to be completely honest, and again, nothing against him. I would imagine if I bought any mentor, it would work. But the point is to go for it. Now, I think I made the right choice out of all the choices, right? But the point is to buy into something. And it's funny because some people think that as an online fitness trainer, I'm competing against other online fitness trainers. But the truth is, I'm competing against McDonald's. I'm competing against Taco Bell. I'm competing against the industry, right? As long when I get on a call, I'll be like, hey, as long as you make a decision to hire someone, you made a good choice. Right? It doesn't have to be me, but take a step forward in your life. That's what I care about, right? I don't care if you go for somebody else, as long as you go for someone. Because if you don't ask for help, then you'll just keep being in the loop. Everybody thinks they can do it on their own. I thought I could make a business on my own without any mentorship, just guessing, but it doesn't work like that, right? And a lot of people think they can get in shape on their own, and nobody can do it. Even people that quote unquote got in the shape on their own, they had friends who were in shape, they had parents who were in shape, right? They had people to help them, right? So yeah, you can't don't be a one-man hero. Like, ask for help.
Yeah. What about you're kind of like competing against a mindset too, right? Like, you
Right.
probably run into, when you're dealing with clients, a lot of just people getting in their own way. That happens in fitness, that happens in business, right? We kind of get in our own way. What were some of the things your mentor helped you uncover in terms of building a business that maybe were holding you back in the beginning?
There's it's a question that there's so many answers at one time that came to my head. I don't know like which way to go, but in general, just having a higher standard for myself, right? Because I can't just be above average shape. I have to be in great shape to help others. And if I don't feel like doing something, how can I tell my clients to do something, right? Now I'm a role model for full-grown adults, right? So I really can't slack. I can't. It's not about working out because that's something I'm used to, but doing other things that I'm not comfortable with, right? I have to like keep getting out of my comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
And with fitness, for example, because I've been doing it for so long, I don't track anything just because I'm so intuitive. I just know exactly what I need to do. But I do tell my clients to track initially just because there's a huge gap between what they think they eat and what they actually eat. And same thing with in business. At first, I was hesitant to track because I don't need to track. Like I know how many conversations I had. I know my closing rate, all of that. But unless you track, you have no idea, right? Unless you've been doing this for literally a decade, which I haven't been in business for a decade, so I have no right to not track.
Yeah.
Because again, my emotions will get in the way. I have a right to not track what I eat because I know my intuition is so good, just because I have been tracking for so long, right? But with business, I don't have that luxury. I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
So yeah, unless you track what you think you did and what you actually did, there's a huge discrepancy. There's a huge gap. It's not even close. Your
Isn't that
feelings will
crazy?
completely sway you.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? Like when you really stop and sit down and do the numbers, you're like, whoa. So I'm liking this because it's like, again, who you are in one area of your life is who you are in all areas of your life.
Yeah.
And the lessons that you learn on the court or in the gym apply to business. And I think that the sooner people figure that out, the better. The more successful they'll be, or the earlier on they're able to taste success, I guess you could say. Okay, so you learned about systems and processes and tracking and the whole numbers side of thing, which I imagine, I'm in marketing. I don't like numbers either. Right. A lot of fitness people are like, oh, I don't like, creative work, or I don't like numbers. Yeah. So what were some of the hurdles then for an online business? Like, did you build your own website? Did you hire that out? Like, where are your, we talked about getting out of your comfort zone. I know I talked with a client once that hadn't launched their website yet just because she wasn't confident in like her ability to actually build it, So it's like, okay, well then outsource that. Right? Right. There's a really simple solution to that. Stop being cheap. Just outsource it. But yeah, tell me in terms of like the branding piece, like how, did you do that on your own? Did you enjoy it?
Right. So actually, I've never talked to somebody else about my business. So that's why this is all pretty new for me. With fitness, I have all the answers. But yeah, I've never thought about it like that. But looking back, I actually took way longer to take the necessary steps than necessary just because I bought the course and the mentorship and all that doesn't mean I was ready to execute. Mm-hmm. I didn't tell anyone, I didn't want to tell my family because I didn't want them to know how much in debt I was. And I didn't tell my friends because I'm like, oh, what if I fail? So I didn't tell anyone that I was even on this pursuit. And I didn't want to post on my Facebook and my Instagram because I didn't want people to know. Right. So for the longest time, I didn't even take action on the things that I needed to do. And eventually I'm like, okay, I have to do something. So I created a new Facebook account. I created a new Instagram just because, again, I didn't want anybody to know that I was doing this. I wanted to only tell people after I was successful. Right. So there's all the mental hurdles. I didn't want to be seen online, but I want to make money online, which didn't make sense looking back. But at the time, I was so intimidated to do anything. Right now, I love talking on podcasts. I love being online, right? I'm sort of an attention whore in that way. But before, I was the complete opposite. I want to be as discreet as possible. I just want to make money online. And also, I didn't believe it was possible until I actually made my first sale, right? So I completely understand the disbelief people have. Like, oh, I don't believe I can get a six-pack. I'm like, to me, that sounds ridiculous. Of course you can. There's no doubt. That's like you saying, I don't believe I'll be able to drive a car. Well, if you have a driving instructor and he teaches you how to drive, eventually you learn how to drive. I'm not saying it's easy, but it's guaranteed. If you take enough lessons, right, you'll be able to make it.
Right.
But yeah, there's so many mental hurdles of like, okay, because you need to change who you believe you are to become a person that's worthy of making X amount, of looking like a certain way. So yeah, the mental hurdles was the biggest thing. And there's so many things, so many times. I feel like I believe that because I struggle so much, I have more compassion for people that struggle with weight loss, because there's so many times when my mentor's like, hey, do this. And, no, that's not going to work. I'm going to do this instead. But I didn't know anything, right? So if you're not successful in a certain area, you're probably delusional of how you think it should be. And you should stop being so arrogant. Just listen to what they have to say, right? Because be like, oh, no, so many times in fitness, be like, oh, if I eat this now, it's not going to work. I should do this. This workout is not going to work. I'm like, well, you hired me. I've been in this game for a decade. I've helped hundreds of people in your exact shoes. Trust me.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, that's a really, you make some really valid points there. Let's bounce back really quick to when you said you have to change who you believe you are. You have to believe that you're worthy of making money. So talk to me about like your pricing structure. Like, did all of that change? Like maybe you were charging a little less in the beginning because you didn't think you were worthy, and now you're charging more of your worth, or like, what was that whole journey like in terms of figuring out where you fit in price wise?
Right. So what's crazy is my first few clients were just free testimonials, right? Which is suggested because, again, you're not good at anything at the start. So obviously do it for free, right? And I was more hesitant on being free people that now I really qualify hard because I know if you're not going to communicate with me, I know if you're not super serious, then you're just wasting my time. The money doesn't mean anything. I want a testimonial out of you,
Yeah.
right? But I remember I was in like 30 calls and like I allowed everyone to join my program. And even though it was free, none of them listened at all, right? So many people wasted my time. So many people didn't interact at all just because I'm like, okay, let's try to help everyone. But the better I got, the more I'm like, yo, my time is worth it. I got to really niche down and only talk to people who are super serious, really qualify them. And it's not like a sales strategy. It's more be like, I'm putting my heart and soul into this. Are you going to put in the same amount of effort?
Yeah, absolutely. You definitely want people whose intentions align with your intentions.
Yeah.
And it's interesting how in business, like the longer you're in business, the more you're willing to stick to your guns about getting that perfect clientele. Whereas
Right.
in the beginning, yeah, you got to pay your dues, right? You got to pay your dues in the beginning. You got to get
Everyone with
some
a heartbeat, yeah,
experience.
let me try to sell them. Now I'm like,
Yeah.
no, unless you're specifically trying to lose weight without going to the gym, then I'm for you. If you want to be a bodybuilding champion, talk to another guy. Can I help you? Probably, but I'm not the best. And I only want to help people that I know I'm the best at.
Yeah. Yeah. That fit your target market. You're talking to a very specific person. You know who that is now, and you're probably really good at identifying that person very quickly,
Yeah.
and asking the right questions, I would imagine. So take me through like your sales process a little bit. Like, how do you qualify people, and do they find you, or are you doing advertising, or what are you doing at this stage?
So right now, my most successful platform is Twitter.
Mm.
For whatever reason, I still post on Instagram different content than I post on Twitter because obviously Instagram is all reels, Twitter is just tweets, right? But for whatever reason, people love my Twitter the most. So I post content, and in the end, I said, if you want to work with me, message me weight loss. And a lot of time people message me weight loss, then I reach out to them, right? Or when other people retweet me, then they see my content, then just they reach out. So that happens the most often. So I'm putting my most focus on Twitter, but I still post on Instagram quite a bit. But if I ever want more people, then I just message my followers. I don't do cold outreach anymore, just because I'm at a place where I don't need to, which feels really nice to say, because for the longest time, I had to do that. But yeah, just like with everything, you have to do what sucks for the longest time before you get the privilege to do what's good. Like that, because right now, talking to clients is fun. Getting a sales call is fun. Messaging 100 strangers is not fun. But initially, you have to do it.
Yeah.
You don't have a choice. Nobody knows who you are. You're an obscure individual.
Yeah,
But yeah,
I kind of complain about this all the time because I feel like these are things that the younger generations just aren't willing to do. They
it
want to do,
sucks. There's
they
no
want
way
to do
around it.
they want to do the only parts of the job that are convenient to them, right? Or that are fun, and you've got this whole message of society saying, do what you love. And if it doesn't,
Yeah.
if you don't love it, it's not worth it. And, it's like, okay, I don't love waking up at 4:30 in the morning when my kid's screaming, but I got to do that. Like, I don't love, there's a lot of things it's called adulting,
Right.
right?
Yes.
It's called being adult, where it comes back to that personal responsibility piece. But it seems
Definitely.
like,
And people want to outsource before they make money. Because everybody wants to also outsource cold outreach because it sucks. But one of the genius things my mentor told me is you can't outsource unless you made a certain amount of money because you don't know how to coach them, right? Because it's not like nobody is like, hey, I've been outsourcing for. It's not like a job that other people do, and if they're competent, then they're going to be way above your price level.
Yeah.
So yeah, you have to do it on your own for a long time to know what to look for.
So what are some of the things then that you did on your own initially and you don't do on your own now? Like what are some of the I'm sure you have pretty low overhead though, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, you know, you're mostly online, like, but what were some of the things that you had to that you had to do, maybe you didn't enjoy in the beginning and now you're have the luxury of outsourcing?
I only outsource one thing, which is my editing of my reels. That's the only thing I outsource, nothing else.
Nice.
That's
Right. Yeah.
because could I do it as good as him? Probably not. Will it take me 10 times longer? Honestly, maybe 20 times longer. It's just because he's so good, right? And my reels have subtitles, emojis, random sounds. I'm like, I don't know how to do all that. It's going to take me forever. So that's the only thing.
Yeah, I love that. That's so time consuming. Social media in general is such a
Right.
time suck.
Yeah.
I say that as a marketer, but yeah. That's really good then. Um, okay, so where are you going to go from here in terms of your business? Like what's next? Like what are you going to do when you're 60? You going to retire? Or are you going to be coaching?
Right. I feel like a lot of people have the wrong goal. People's goal is to sit on a beach in Mexico with a martini and sit back and relax. That's not my goal. That seems like an odd thing to strive for because if you've ever been on vacation for more than a day, it gets boring. Like, what do you do? Cool, you sit on the beach, you look at the view. Then what? I feel like if I don't conquer in some sort of way, then I'm just bored, right? Even if I have infinite amount of money doesn't mean anything to me. Okay, I'll probably do some crazy athletic adventure, right? I'll probably test my stuff somehow. So yeah, and a lot of people want to outsource the coaching, which I don't get. I'm like, that's something I would never outsource. Even if I outsource all my content, even if I outsource all my messaging, I would never outsource my coaching because that's the point. Like
Yeah.
my dream isn't to my, my dream is to be able to walk more. My dream is to have so many clients that my entire day, from the time I wake up to the time I go to sleep, is just coaching, and then I go to sleep. Like that's my ultimate goal.
Talk to me about your daily routines and your daily rhythms and what you have in place that are your non-negotiables. As a business owner, we have to balance a lot, right? We have to balance personal, family, the business, even communication with the outsourcing, right? Like there's still work that you have to do there. So
Right.
talk to me about like what are some of your non-negotiable things that you will not give up and how that plays into your routine and your rhythm and your overall success.
So in terms of business, my non-negotiable is obviously contact all of my clients, update the workouts, all that, and booking check-in calls to make sure they succeed. Because my main goal is to get mostly referrals. That's the best,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Because it is so much easier that way. And obviously, post every day, make content, reach out to people that follow me, reply to messages, and that's a that's only a problem I only started having recently because before I had to like reach out to everyone. Now I have to reply to everyone that reaches out to me, which is a lot nicer. So those are the mainly non-negotiable. Other than that, uh, just every once in a while, I try to think about a lot of interesting content, things that hopefully will go viral. Every time I think I'll make a viral post, it bombs. Every time I'm like, oh, this is boring. Said this 100 times. That's when it does amazing. I'm like, okay, got to repeat the basics.
Yeah, right. Trying to figure out why something goes viral is like maddening. What about in your, your personal, your personal life? You got protein shake you take every morning. You gotta like, you got Bible time in the morning. Like, what's you read before you go to bed? Like, what's your thing?
So the very first thing I do, I mean, I have a water bottle within arm's reach at all times, no exceptions. So first thing I do, I drink a full glass of water. Then I go pee, I brush my teeth, and I start my day, which uh alternates quite a bit. I mean, sometimes I meditate in the morning, but if I feel like I want extra sleep, I'll just sleep instead of meditating. And then I just go about my day. The first thing I do, I either reply to clients or reply to messages. Sometimes I talk with other fitness trainers, see how they're doing, what they're doing, how we can help each other. Because we're not in competition, we're all on the same mission, right? There's so many people that need our help that the best thing we could do is collaborate, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And yeah, other than that, just I don't really have a routine. I guess in terms of things I do just naturally, right? Like right now, I don't know if you can tell, but like this is a standing desk. Every time I'm talking on the phone, I'm walking. It's just something that's natural. So it's not a routine, just something that I do that promotes healthy living, right? And I only have, healthy options within my vicinity. So it's impossible for me to make unhealthy choices. So that's something I have to think about, right? It's kind of like I don't have any ripped clothes, so I don't have to worry about only wearing nice clothes. That's all I have.
Yeah. So are you parking your car the farthest spot away in the parking lot? So
I do the exact opposite. I'm like, no, I don't have time. I got to be efficient.
All right, so that's where it ends there. You got to get the close parking spot. That's great. That's great. So I agree, in the fitness industry, my best friend is in the fitness industry. I do the marketing for her CrossFit gym. And, I agree. It's like, she's successful because she cares. She's, people see that she's not in it for the money. She's in it to help people. She's, she makes home visits. She makes hospital visits. She does what she needs to do to make sure people know that she cares. And, she's not afraid to say, okay, this isn't probably a fit for you, but go to this gym or go to this trainer. And at the end of the day, it's people helping people. And it's really, really beautiful and brilliant. What are some of the, lasting final things, messages that you want to share with the audience today?
Just like the very first thing we talked about, invest in translatable skills that will help you in all areas of life. And primarily invest in the biggest asset there is, which is yourself. Crypto, stocks, real estate can go down, can go up, right? You might get at best, I don't know, like a 50% return, which is something insane. But with yourself, you can get a 3,000% return on your investment, right? Self-education and making yourself have more energy, make yourself be more focused, being more confident in general. Things like that are the best investments that you can make.
Yeah, that's great. And it sounds like, you recognize that early on, making that investment in your mentor, even though that puts you in some debt, that puts you behind. Did you ever tell? So at what point did your family find out what was going on and your friends? And then when did you decide to tell them?
So, my friends only found out after I was successful, but successful, I mean, after I started making like decent money, right? Because my posts have just been getting more and more views, so they just find out. And I'm like, oh yeah, by the way, I'm doing this. but by then I was confident. By then, like, I wasn't like scared. I'm like, oh yeah, but like it wasn't. I wasn't scared that I got quote unquote caught. I'm like, oh yeah, I've been doing this. I'm going to be rich and famous soon, right? Like, but then it was cool. With my parents, that was an interesting journey. One day, I sort of hinted on the phone a couple of times. They're like, by the way, next time we see each other, I have a cool story. And then I sat them down. I told them everything. Especially my mom, she was like, oh, no, you should have asked for money immediately. Like, why do you put yourself in that situation? I'm like, I get you, but I'm really happy I did what I did. Like, yeah, it sucked for months on end. There's a bunch of things that happened to go wrong at the same time. Like a couple of months later, like 2 months later, or whatever, I fractured my wrist so that I couldn't even do anything. Like everything seemed to like crumble. When it rains and pours, when things go bad, everything goes bad. That's how that is.
Yeah.
Again, teaches you to deal with it. And it's good to not have a safety net. I mean, I did have a safety net, but it's good to not take advantage of it at all times. Just from a policy standpoint.
That's a really good lesson to learn. I think that's a really good thing for listeners to hear for sure. Not having that safety net and kind of when your back is up against the wall and what we talked about earlier, things just being born out of necessity. One of my favorite quotes is, if opportunity doesn't knock, build a door.
Yeah.
And that's, I think as an entrepreneur, people come kind of equipped with that mindset. Even if it has to be pulled out of you at some point in time by a mentor or a friend or just somebody willing to call you out, I feel like, it's just something entrepreneurs have.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Well, Daniel, where can people find you, connect with you? What's your Twitter handle?
So firstly, my website is danielrazfit.com. So that's DanielRazFit.com. Twitter is DanielRaz_fit, and Instagram is DanielRazFit. Again, I post different content on both, but primarily check me out on Twitter. That's where I'm most active, and I am having the most success for whatever reason. So yeah.
Awesome. I'm actually on Twitter, so I will follow you. I don't follow too many people, but I only go there every once in a while to see what Elon's up to, or who's been kicked off, but which is half the people I follow. They're gone. They're banned. Well, thank you very much. I'll put those links in the episode notes for our listeners just so they can follow. Check out those reels that your guy's doing so awesome at.
Yes.
And thank you so much for your time today and for sharing your story. I think it's jam-packed full of lessons, so I appreciate you.
Definitely, I really enjoyed this.